Hello, my name is Henrik Korsgaard, and I'm presenting our paper on collectives and their artifact ecologies. For a decade, my co-authors and I have shared an interest in understanding what we call the multi-multi. Multiple people using multiple technologies across multiple activities. We've studied this in several cases with different perspectives. The empirical material we draw upon in this work consists of 3 cases. We have looked at how a local food community uses various technologies to organize and orchestrate their activities, how they appropriate and negotiate these technologies, the role the technologies play when the community, within the community, and how this has shaped the community and their activities. We have looked at households with a similar perspective. What kind of technologies do people living together appropriate and why? How are they introduced, negotiated, and used? And finally, we've studied how researchers appropriate, negotiate, and use various interactive technologies in a nanoscience research lab. In the following, we draw upon examples from the organic food community. Our research interest is to understand how communities or groups of people come together around a shared interest and objectives, how they organize and scaffold their practice, appropriate tools and technologies, and how their practices, tools, and community develop over time. The theoretical framework we present today consists of 2 main concepts. We developed the notion of collectives to describe the social constellation of people who pick up, learn and use, share, reject, and appropriate the many tools that are part of their activities, and their artifact ecology as the particular constellation of artifacts that the collective appropriate as part of their activities. In this presentation, I will primarily focus on the concept of collectives as a theoretical construct that can help us study and analyze communities. I'll give less attention to artifact ecologies as a concept. For this, I refer to the paper and prior work. So, for the rest of the presentation, I will explain what we mean by collectives and collective activity. With an onset in activity theory, we propose collectives as a concept that can help analyze how groups of people develop not only a practice, but a sense of identity through collective activity. Collectives are emergent and developed through collective activities. Through these activities, the participants develop an understanding of the practice, the goals and tools of the collective, a sense of the collective identity, values, and high-level objectives, interpersonal relationships, trust, solidarity, and shared ideals, different roles, and appreciation of the skill and knowledge of others. Now, as any theoretical concept goes, examples can help us illustrate what we mean. As one of our cases, we have studied an organic food community. They were founded by a few individuals who wanted to have better access to local organic food produce. They quickly established a member base and started operating in collaboration with local farmers and a community space. As a community, they share a motivation and interest in sustainability and access to local organic food produce. This interest shaped their online presence on social media, their website, and how they organized as a volunteer-based community. Collective activities are the focal point for understanding and analyzing a collective. When we talk about collective activity, we make 2 distinctions. First, we have shared object activity, where multiple people gather and collaborate around a shared object and goal. Second, we have distributed activity with division of labor. Here, individuals cooperate and engage in different activities. These activities have sub-goals that also contribute to larger common goals of the community, of the collective. When we look at our case from before, there are multiple different collective activities that serve as a meeting point for the members. Some of these activities are shared object activities. For instance, when volunteers pick up the produce from the farmer or pack the bags for redistribution to members, or when they set up the shop to sell the produce. However, there's also a host of individual activities prior to and embedded within these joint activities. For instance, someone needs to contact the farmers to find out what produce is available and have to announce this on the website and so forth. Conceptually, and with help from activity theory, the 2 perspectives on collective activity position the collective differently. In cases where people collaborate in shared object activity, the subject in the classical figure is the collective subject. The collective is an agent in the activity. When people cooperate through different but interdependent activities, they remain the subject of that activity as individuals. However, the collective play a mediating role by giving meaning to the individual activity in relation to the overall goals of the collective. When a member of the food community sign up for a volunteer shift in the community, that only makes sense because there's a community and a shift that needs to be staffed. And that only makes sense because the members expect to come and get organic food at the community space. From a classical activity theoretical perspective, we know that participating in collective activities mediate multiple aspects of the practice. The goals and meanings of particular activities, the meaningful relations to other activities, rules and procedures, division of labor, and so forth. This also includes the tools and technologies of the activities and their use. If we look at our organic food community, participating in the collective activities is where you learn what to do and when, why certain things are done the way they are, and what technologies are used and how they function. How to package food produce, arranging the space, the order of things, how much to put in each bag. How to deal with rules and regulation for handling food produce, setting up the shop, handling transactions, and more. In addition to this, we argue that participating in these collective activities over time mediate additional aspects of the collective. When they participate in collective activities, they develop a sense of belonging to a collective identity or entity with which they identify themselves, thus collective responsibilities become possible. Specific we feelings arise, as Lektorski puts it. This includes a sense of collectivity, identity, high-level goals, shared values, solidarity, we feelings, group identification, trusting people's judgment and skill, or forming social bonds through shared experiences, and referentiality, learning who's who, identifying particular roles and responsibilities, and individuals with particular skills and knowledge about the collective and its activities. So if we go back to our community from before, the collective activities mediate how the individuals understand the community and the shared values. They learn about responsibilities and develop solidarity within the community and among the members. This may be expressed in how they articulate the collective identity internally or how they tell others about the collective. They also learn who's who can they contact for information, who can they trust, who makes decisions or can help with specific things. These are all learned through the collective activities. Technical skill is a common example of this. Most individuals and members know or will quickly discover who to contact if the technologies are not working or if they need help. So what about artifact ecologies? In the paper, we go into detail on the relationship between the collective and their artifact ecology. Here it's important to note that just as the collective is defined through collective activities, so is the artifact ecology. When collectives get new tools, they are often introduced by individuals as part of a particular activity and a response to a need. However, people often come and go in collectives, so the tools and technologies tend to stick with the activities. So when analyzing collectives and their artifact ecologies, it's important to understand how the tools were introduced and how they support the collective activities. It's also important to examine how they mediate and contribute to the identity of the community. This was just a teaser. There's so much more in the paper where we provide arguments for why we need collectives, explain our theoretical method, how do we theorize from the cases, more details on the theoretical background, more cases and more detailed analysis, and advice and direction on how to apply collectives and artifact ecologies in studying the multi-multi. Finally, we want to say thank you for your time. We really want to discuss these things with you, so please connect and let's chat.